Hi there, I'm Evan.
And I'm Mark.
What do we do today, Mark?
Episode, Evan and I get in a fight in the middle of it about something that has nothing to do with the topic.
That's not true.
We talk about Toronto dance salsa.
We'll fight over that.
We get in.
It's all about making Mark embrace a growth mindset.
And it's all about Evan picking up on the littlest things that don't matter and turning a mountain or a molehill into a mountain.
It's a giant mountain for Mark Drager. That's the whole point. All right, enjoy the episode.
Welcome to the Something to Prove podcast. It is me, Mark Drager, joined as always with Mr. Evan Carmichael. You may have heard of him.
We're doing it. We're ready. Cheers, Mark.
We'll do it live. Cheers, bubbly.
All right.
Is that a cappuccino cup you have there?
No, this is just normal coffee.
Anyway, how you doing, man?
Good.
Okay. I wanted to follow up with last week's episode. You might remember we're in season 4 now. It's all about the build.
Okay.
It's all about the build, rising out of the ashes. We didn't have enough time to get into it last week, but we were talking about the differences in Fanta between building an elite team and building and overcoming the challenge of me building a scalable team.
Yeah.
And the more I thought about it all week, I don't have an answer, but the more I thought about it all week, I thought this is entrepreneurship 101, right?
No. No, not really.
It's when you're ready to build and scale, do you use what you have and inch your way up? Do you try and get all your systems and people and processes ready today for what you will grow into, but you may never grow into it? Like I think it's a common challenge that a lot of people face when they're trying to go from 1 to 3 and from 3 to 8 and from 8 to 20 and from 20 to 60. Like people ask me a question in the company and I go, well, hold on. Do you want the answer for today and how we're doing it right now? Or do you want it for the 12-month answer? Like, what are we talking about here?
Yeah, but that's not the problem. The problem is you have to answer the question, which most people don't have to face, which is, do you build a team around you?
Why don't most people have to face that?
Because most people build a team around them.
Ah, okay.
But they're just nicer to people.
No, I don't think they are.
Well, maybe not. That's
I've heard
true.
endless entrepreneurs I've heard in Q&As and other places go, I just can't find good people. Meanwhile, they're not a great manager. Or they live like I do, where they bump up, they're able to get to 16 people, but they can't just get to 40. They're able to get to $3 million revenue, but they can't get to 10. Like every entrepreneur faces this issue with scaling, I'd say.
I think back to my venture capital days where we looked at the CEO and assuming they like the idea, assuming it's a good idea and there's some traction and it's not just air. The most important thing then becomes, is this CEO the person to be the CEO?
Up to a point though, right? Because at a certain point, founder always gets removed as CEO and an actual operator comes in and operates the business. No? Is that not always the growth plan of any business?
Well, it's looking at the next round. I mean, there are some that continue on, Zuckerberg and Bezos and whatever. And a lot of founders do stay on all the way until they end up selling or just keep moving on. But this is the job often of the VC, is to think, okay, is this person the horse for the course? Is this person the one?
Is that a line they say? Okay.
Yeah. Is this the horse for the course? Like the course, we're sold on the idea. We're sold on the market. We're sold on where this is going. Are you the person to do it? And are you the person to lead the team or not? Like, are you on the right? You're in the right position. And sometimes people have a lot of ego attached to them being the CEO, and sometimes they don't. That's a whole other issue. But no, I think a lot of times people build a team around themselves. They want to be the leader. Like, you don't want to be the guy doing most of this stuff. Like you've most times what would happen in your situation is you get a co-founder. Or you get somebody basically, you're not the CEO anymore. You have a CEO and you're normally you would be like the CTO.
Right. No, like my first real important job, I stayed at the company for 2 years after graduating school, was a very entrepreneurial organization. I didn't realize how much it would shape how much of my thinking, but I'm super thankful of that experience. But I came in about a year after the CEO came in, because the 3 founders who were very entrepreneurial ran it for 8 years, grew it as much as they could, and realized they needed to bring in someone who was a CEO to set up a leadership team and set up set up everything and stop being so like all over the place and crazy and what have you. And so right away, I always assumed that businesses were run where it's like, I'm the person who's going to take it from 1 to 150 employees, but I'm not the person who's going to take it from 150 to 1,000 employees. Or I just thought everybody knew that there's like this bandwidth that you could operate in, and you're able to take it from here to here, and then you're going to outgrow your abilities, experiences, or thinking.
Sure. Okay.
Is that not what most people do though? Or
I don't know, but most people never build a business. Most people, You're talking about 150 employees. How many businesses get to 2 employees, right? I mean, most businesses never even come close to 150 employees. So whether you need to be replaced at that point, awesome. Like, what are we doing? What's the build?
Like, I think that my issue, my challenge or whatever is I should have like a 60-person team under me, and then I'll be able to do everything that I want and operate the way that I want to operate. I don't, right? Like we're at a 6-person team right now, and I'm enjoying this too. It's because I'm in it now and I'm handling it, and I've surrounded myself with people who can work with me and deal with me and all that other stuff. It's that middle thing.
Yeah, and just your attachment to the stuff that you're not great at.
My attachment to the stuff that I'm not great at.
Yeah, like the process. Agile and Scrum and like all the stuff that doesn't matter, that you're not great at, that you shouldn't be leading or even talking about. Like, the words shouldn't be allowed out of your face.
I am really good at being able to be able to paint it, to be able to establish and lay out.
Yeah, that's not Scrum process. And Agile though.
Yes, I am. I'm very, very good at being able to say, okay, we're here today, we need to be there tomorrow, just leave it with me for 20 minutes. And I can come back with like all of the steps and who's doing what and the dates and how it needs to work.
But if you're not going to run it, it doesn't matter. Like that you shouldn't be doing that. You're not in charge of it. You're not running it. You need the person who's actually going to be running it to lead it. You just want to set it up, put it on paper, and then somebody else is going to go off and do it.
Well, so this is
But that's not how operations works. Like, you need to be out of operations. You need to recognize that you're just okay at it, and you don't want to run it for anybody else. So
I don't want to run at it. I don't want to run it.
You don't want to run it at all, but you want to control what everybody else is doing and how they fit. You need to step out of it. That is no longer Mark Drager's responsibility. If you're a 60-person company or whatever, like, you are nowhere. You're not. If I was an investor in the business, I would have like an electric gate around operations or something. And like, if Mark even said the word or something, he'd get shocked. Like, you're not allowed to. You can't touch it. You're not allowed.
Well, let's get specific then. So, after we've had some conversations, I've sat down with Louis and I've talked to him about his skill set, my skill set, and the team. And great. I'm not great at operations. He's very people. So I'm very sales and marketing and vision focused. He's very people and heart focused. We have a great person on the team, Natalia, who's very operations focused, and our project manager. And so we had this great call. We all sit down and talk about it, and everybody's on board in principle. But the next step is that I need to be able to communicate to them. So like, write down in a document, some kind, communicate to them how I want this all to work. Not so that way they can develop the processes and they can develop the operations and they can deliver on it.
Okay.
Is that still not within my, because you always surprise me on these things. I'm allowed to do that, right? I'm allowed to tell them what I want this to be and how I want it to work, or is there a fence around that too?
Maybe. Depends on how deep we're going. I need somebody to have the little taser ready just in case.
That little button.
Yeah. The little button. Yeah. Or just give me the button, and then the team can message me like, Evan, he's doing it again, and I'll press the button remotely. I'll be the one press. That's fine. We can set that up. We need a shock. It's like a bark collar for dogs. We need a little shock collar.
Okay. So here's the challenge I face, right? I don't know why I want a big company, but I want a bigger company, and I've always wanted a bigger company because deep down inside, I know that I'm good at like a few things, but I've always found magic in creating something bigger than yourself. I love building something that represents you, that you can be proud of, that's experiential, something that people look at with admiration. It's bigger than yourself. And so I've always wanted to build a bigger company. And so what we're bumping into, and what we have been bumping into for a long time, is I built Fanta for the first 10 years, around surrounding myself with people who could work with me, but then we could never scale and grow. We were always bumping, people were in it. Like I'd have a core team of people who were with me for 5, 6, 7, 8 years. And then new people would come in and go like, wow, these guys, Fanta can retain staff for a really long time. People have been here for 6, 7 years and they love it. And then they would be in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. Because I could only find so many people who wanted to surround myself with me, but I always struggled to scale because it was built for me. Great. Now we've spent the last few years trying to build this now at scale and team and not for me. And we've been bumping into just a totally different set of challenges and limitations and stuff. So this is the hurdle to get over. It's to figure out how, when you have limited team, limited resources, limited staff, limited money to invest in salaries and people and everything else, obviously make the most of it, work really, really quickly. But we need to get to a place. I'm not building this for me. I'm building this for the team, but I still need to be the one to build it for them. Right?
Okay.
I'm asking you.
Oh, okay.
I'm asking you. This is the challenge. This is the challenge, right? Like, no, if I build it for me today, it'll help me this year. It'll help me next year, but then I won't be able to scale because we won't outgrow it. If I build it just for the future, if I build it just for the future, we're not going to be able to operate today because it's I'm still involved. Be both. It's too frustrating.
Yeah, it's got to be both, or you won't be happy, or the team won't be happy, which then means you won't be happy.
Right.
Yeah. Everybody's wearing multiple hats right now. Mm-hmm. You've got ultimately you need to give your operations person operational control. You need an operations person who's wearing multiple hats. No, it's like you're wearing multiple hats, right? Especially right now. You're the visioneer. You're doing what you want with the vision and the branding exercises. What do we call it again?
Brand strategy.
You're great at that. I still like the idea of you.
That TDS page I wrote today for Alex.
Oh, I didn't see it. I was, dude, good. Can I tell you? I was so excited because in your email, so Mark's helping with TDS, trying to salsa, helping with the new landing page for our online classes. And it came in and you gave some feedback on like, this picture doesn't have this or whatever, but there was no attachment of the copy, at least the one that I saw. Maybe it was a different email.
No, and like you have to log into the page to see the page.
Oh, you edited the actual page? And I'm like, oh man, that's what I like. There's some Mark. You talk about things that you're good at. That's right up there. Setting up process is like, it's
so like mentioning, we should mention US and Canadian dollars for Americans, or the time zones they're in, or all of those things. You mean that's the stuff I'm good at?
No. I mean, that's decent. Like troubleshooting, sure. But that's seeing one step ahead. Like, great. Is it helpful? Sure. But the copy, the feeling, the vibe, the emotion is the big thing. That's what matters. All of the process conversation that you got into with Alex, like most of that doesn't matter. He's stressed out. Like none of that matters right now. Who cares? We need a landing page with brilliant copy. Like that's what we need to focus on right now. And that's what Mark Drager is great at and should focus even more at. US currency and all that, whatever. Like,
well, the reason I was asking him about the campaign and stuff is because and this is I love working with entrepreneurs for this reason, because the biggest breakthrough for them is we spend all of our time thinking in terms of operations inside, and we don't realize that we can't take that inside language, that inside thinking out to the world, right? Like you need to change it, you need to tweak it. And so Alex was really going into like how it's all going to work and all of this stuff. And I'm like, that's great. Who are we talking to? Where are these people? How are they finding us? What do they want? Right? Like those are the questions that matter more to me. And so when I was getting into the other stuff about like, what campaign are we running? How will we find these people? What will bring them there? It's because whatever you put out in terms of ads, Facebook ads, YouTube ads, wherever you're going to advertise, whatever you say to bring people in, where you land them, the landing page needs to be the answer to that curiosity or that question.
Yeah, but it's the other way around. You don't start with the ads and then do the landing page. You start with the landing page and then do the ads. The landing page is the heart. Like, this is what we're doing. When you did TDS, it wasn't, hey, how are we going to run ads against this before we create our landing page? No, it was we need to create our homepage that speaks to our target audience and then bring people in.
For a landing page, we have to decide how we're going to sell this. Are we selling this on fun, learning dance, loneliness,
yes,
COVID sucks?
Yes.
Those are all different campaigns. And each one of those sentiments may or may not hit out in the world. And then the page is the answer to that question. So I picked the one that I thought was most relevant because Alex doesn't have a sense of how the ads will be. So,
but you just don't start with the ads. The ads is not how you start. The
no,
heart
the
is where you
sentiment
start.
for the target audience in the ads.
No, in the landing page, and then you make the ads for. Like, starting with the ads is what?
Other way around.
No, you're wrong. Like, this is where, like, I don't understand. You're so genius.
Other way around. No, you're so genius. The sentiment that the audience wants. What will draw them in, and then you make the page to match what draws them in. You don't do it the other way around.
You start with the heart. It has to be the heart.
Yes, the heart of the audience. What is TDS?
Yes, and that's the landing page. That's where you create amazing copy. We're not creating, if you're creating 1,000 landing pages for different audiences, great. But it starts with the heart, which is your copy, which is the emotion expressed on the landing page. And then you get ads to run against it. Of course. Like,
the landing page has to match the ads. It's not that the ads match the landing page. It's different.
When you did the whole brand strategy for TDS, you didn't go through this process. You didn't say, what are our ads going to be? And then let's design a homepage for it.
No. That's different than a landing page.
No, but
a landing page only exists.
Mark, you don't. Then you're missing the picture. Mark, you're missing it, dude. Mark,
Evan, I'm not.
This is life or death for TDS. This landing page is the entire business. It's the home page. It's everything.
Yes.
The home page doesn't matter. Nobody's signing up for group classes right now. Like, this is all that matters. So this is it. So it's rebranding the entire thing. It's brand strategy from day one, just like you did.
I agree. And so I suggested.
So there's absolutely 1,000% the page first and then the ads.
No, but yes, the page gets written first, but it gets written off of, if someone wants to learn dance, then the page is all going to be about, it's going to be skewed towards dance. And we're going to run a dance campaign to a dance page. If someone's lonely, then it's different. If someone has physical disabilities and would love to learn to dance in a wheelchair, and we're targeting people with disabilities, the page would be different. The sentiments change. The operations don't change. TDS offer doesn't change. Virtual training doesn't change. But the way we wrap the page starts with the audience and the sentiment of the campaign. That's what I'm trying to say.
If that's how you pitch TDS's homepage, you wouldn't have got the project, because that's not even how you did it.
That's totally different.
No, it's not.
Talking about a brand strategy. We're getting super in the weeds now. You're talking about a brand strategy to reposition an organization that covered off 4 different targets. We're talking about now a landing page to sell a product.
That's what you're missing.
Off of an ad campaign.
No, this is the whole thing. This is the new business, Mark. This is everything.
And when I talked to Alex about it and I pushed him on this, he said, I need a landing page. And I said, if you need a landing page that's going to convert, we have to know who we're speaking to and what it is that they care about. I don't know what someone in Kentucky cares about who sees an ad off of a YouTube channel. You know, like I can come up with 4 or 5 different things I think they care about, but I don't know yet. And so anyway, we're like super lost into the weeds now. But when you talk about repositioning TDS's entire brand strategy, that's not the same thing as us working on a landing page to convert people off of an ad.
But they're not just coming from an ad. They're coming from everything, right? They're coming from our current student base. We need to get our current students over onto this. They're coming from social media. They're coming from ads. They have to hit a page that speaks to them.
Yes,
that's going to make them want to join.
And when we get that page locked, we replicate it out, and then you control what traffic is going to that page. I did not write for you a homepage. Alex did not create a homepage. This is not what we wrote. Isn't a generic page that's going to speak to everyone. What I did was I created a page that I believed would convert based off of your initial YouTube campaign, and then we would replicate out additional pages after that based off of the nuances of the different pages.
We could have multiple pages, but that's not what we're starting with. We're starting with a page that has to convert, that has to speak to the broad audience.
Yes.
Just like our homepage does. It's effectively a new homepage. And if you don't understand that, then you miss the whole strategy of what we're even doing. Like, there is no business. There are no group classes. This is a homepage.
I didn't miss that. You're not creating a homepage. You need to talk to Alex again then. I'm going to get frustrated now, because if you're going to beat me up for not understanding something that's clear to me, it's clear to me what the ask was. I spent an hour with Alex pushing him on it to understand what it was. If you're going to get frustrated with me, then I'm going to get frustrated back.
You can get frustrated back, but Mark Drager, that I know, is a genius and figures this stuff out in seconds. No, honestly, like, there's no business. You haven't even seen
the page, dude.
No, I don't need to see the page. I'm sure the page is actually pretty good copy. The way you're approaching it is just a waste of time. The way you're approaching it is incorrect and is not how pages should be done.
Evan,
it's just not the right model.
You don't do this, and I do it maybe differently than you. So I can approach this, because what I know is that if you are running a YouTube campaign, which Alex told me you are, and when I said, who are we targeting? What are the geographies? What is the sentiment that's going to bring them in? And his response was, I'm going to do 15, 30, and 2-minute videos, and I'm just going to talk about whatever I want. And I went, I don't think you should do that. And he said, no. I talked to Evan, and we're just going to, I'm going to do 15-second videos, 30-second videos, and 2 minutes. I'm going to talk about whatever I want. We're going to put them on YouTube, and they're going to work. I said, so then we have to get into the YouTube strategy. Well, like, what would draw someone in? What would stop someone in their tracks? What would draw them in? What would they want? They, like local people, they either want to learn how to dance, they are lonely, they want connections. Now we have, I've been locked in and enough is enough. Great. Now on the landing page, we have to be able to use those sentiments that we're using on YouTube to be able to satisfy to people that this is a real thing. And we have to build trust, and we have to build credibility, and we have to show we're not a scam, and we have to explain who TDS is. And we have to be able to show people that this is something that they want and that they clearly understand. Those are the steps that I work through when developing this page. But for me, what I write on the top of the page, the thing that reassures someone who's just seen an ad that they've landed in the right place and we're speaking to them, is going to be on the sentiment that draws them in the most. And that changes depending on the campaigns that you're running. If you told me that all these people were coming from IG followers, I would craft the page differently. Because those are organic people who are already connected to TDS, who already have an understanding of who Alex is. And we don't have to explain so much. We can draw them in differently. It's different depending on the traffic source. I don't think the way I think is broken.
For the strategy that we need. Yeah.
Well, then maybe you and Alex need to have a conversation to clarify the strategy, because I spent an hour with him, and what I understood was, one, when I asked, hey, what are we doing to the homepage to ensure we don't confuse people? We're not doing anything. We don't need to do anything to the homepage. We're still running in-class classes. We still have bubble buddies. We're not focusing on that. Great. What are we doing with registration to clean it up so that way it's a simpler process? And we can, I said, even move to PayPal, even if to make this easier. We're not doing anything with that. All I need is a landing page. All I need is a landing page, because I'm going to run YouTube ads and I need to be able to sell classes. What don't I understand about the strategy?
It's not only going to come from YouTube, and it still starts with the sentiment of the landing page.
And I selected 1 out of 4 or 5 possible sentiments. But if the landing page doesn't convert, it may not convert because of the landing page. It may not convert because of the sentiment, or it may not convert because we didn't match up the ads and the audience with the landing page. All the things need to align.
You didn't match up the ads with the landing page. You start with the landing page, and then you have to match up the ads.
No, it starts with the ad. It starts with the audience and the platform and the ads that work. And then the landing page matches that.
This is the first time I've ever heard you even talk about this stuff. Look at everything we've done in all my campaigns.
It was exactly the same thing.
No.
Yeah.
It was no.
Landing page. The landing page we just wrote, that's doing a lot better because it has all of your stars reading stuff.
Yep. Started
with the ads. We have all of these assets of people reading these things. They were ads that we tested. The reason I know Lewis is better and Ed Milet is better than other people is because we ran them as ads. And then we built the landing page to match the sentiment.
No, we started with the landing page, and then it doesn't mean that our ads can't inform the landing page and can't make it better. But when we're starting off, when we created the campaign,
I wrote your ads before I wrote your landing page, dude. We wrote your ads, and then we wrote your landing page video that remember you were on the plane back and you were transcribing on the plane back other people's videos. We wrote the ads, and then we wrote your landing page video conversion video message, and then we wrote the landing page from that.
Well, maybe that's why it didn't work at the start then.
It did work at the start. It didn't work in April. March was a great month.
It was going to my cold audience. It wasn't even going to ads. It was going to my warm audience. Sorry, it wasn't even going to ads. The beginning was going to my warm audience. I was promoting it.
Yeah. I'm caught. I don't understand why you think this is a failure in thinking, because I approach it one way and you feel like it should be something different. I'm super confused.
Because it dragged Alex down a wrong path of stuff that doesn't matter. Like, it just doesn't matter. This is where I get frustrated with you, is that you have such genius and so much amazing potential, and then the other half is just not important right now. Just no relevancy to what we actually need to get done.
If I'm asked to create a landing page that sells courses, the first thing I'm going to do is, who are we talking to and where are we finding these people? I haven't written any ads for you guys yet, but I need to understand, who are we speaking to and where are they?
Rich, because you haven't written any ads yet.
That informs what we say on the landing page. That informs what we say. It's the same process we walked through for when we wrote the website. And in brand strategy, I may not have asked you those questions in the order. I didn't ask you those questions. I started with leadership, and then we went from leadership to values, and we went from values to target audience and market research. And then we overlaid the target audience and the market research on this side with your values on that side. And we landed in a Venn diagram of the things people care about with the things that you care about. And that's where our messaging starts.
Okay.
But when we write a homepage, for example, we have a sense of, who are these people? Who are we speaking to? What is it they care about? What is it we need to say? Is it likely they're going to land on the homepage? If we're doing a paid campaign, the reason why we drive half of the traffic we used to do to Salsa One was because the Salsa One page was written for advertising on Facebook, whereas the homepage is written more for organic people. We start with the audience and the place that people are going to see it and the sentiment or message that they have. And then we craft the message or the page to speak to that feeling, that sentiment, who the person is, where they're at. And then the offer needs to be crafted around that. I mean, it's super operational to go offer, system, let's go to market. And that's why I was saying it's fun to work with entrepreneurs, because they think offer, they think system, they think, how's it going to work? But when you're planning any kind of marketing or campaign, you have to start with the targets. And then, Alex is over here, the audience is over here. Mm-hmm. So I need to have an understanding of both, and then we'll wind up in the middle.
Sure.
So Alex, for example, on his page, wrote 3 or 4 times, which I deleted. It's like having our studio in your home.
Yeah, it's brutal.
Cool. Nobody cares about your studio. No one knows, what's the value of your studio. So great. So that's by starting with the audience. And so what I chose to do with the page, and I made a whole bunch of assumptions, but what I sold was connection, of course, laughing and fun, learning and trying something new. And then this overall feeling of like, finally, I can do something fun like this. So if we go to market with this, I think one of the lines I wrote was, enough is enough. If you feel the way we do, I made it this challenge. Like, we've spent the last 6 months toiling and figuring out a way to bring the the experience that you used to have in person to live online virtual training. And we finally done it. I've made it the page much more about I'm just itching and scratching to go do fun things. And finally this is here, because we had to take a bit of time to figure it out.
Okay.
Now you may like it. You may hate it. Alex may like it. He may hate it. Right. That's all up for debate. But all I did was I selected one audience out of the 4 or 5 we probably could go after. and I crafted this page for that audience.
Okay.
But when you guys launch your advertising campaign, we'll need to duplicate this page out a few more times and change the sentiment. We'll have to create one for someone who wants to learn how to dance. I didn't write this page for anyone who wants to learn how to dance.
Sure. Yeah, that's why it's called Transformation Month. And I told Alex, just throw copy at it, put what you think, because Mark's going to destroy it, and just get ready to be torn a new one, and don't take it personally, because he's going to.
No, I kept at least like 5 or 6 of his sentences.
But he needs to get a sense of what we're thinking of. It's better than just having no copy on it. So put what you think down, and don't take it personally. He's gonna jump all over it, and that's what he's great at. So that's what we need. So that's what he did. Yeah, I agree. Bringing our dance studio into your home or whatever that was, it's terrible, but it's fine. That's not what Alex is great at.
So this, but this highlights like this, your belief of how things should work, your staunch belief for how things should work. Facebook should work this way. What it doesn't, YouTube, I should just be able to do this and the algorithm should do this. And then we find out, it doesn't. And you're like, what? And your belief of how I should do things that's counterintuitive to the way I do things.
No, my belief in you going slowly through things and you not even being open to adjusting it. Like a lot of the stuff, that first call was not super helpful. There's just a lot of things that you'll look at things, and maybe it's from looking at a holistic view, and maybe it's positioned for where we can go, but the inability to actually then prioritize, like, this is what we need to do right now, and just focus on that thing instead of showing the 18 other things that have to get done. That's the problem.
I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I don't know the conversation you and Alex had.
No, that's not just Alex. That's everything. Like, you'll add lots of layers and steps of things that could do and could go and miss, like, okay, you'll hit the big picture and you'll hit the sentiment. And this is exactly what needs to get done and build a better future. But the actual steps to get there, like, what's our first priority? And then, like, just focus all effort on that is the blind spot. That's the thing that's missing. That's the frustrating thing. Then that slows down production. That slows down actually getting meaningful results out of things.
Okay. So what would you have had me do different in this situation? Last week, Alex emailed me. I asked him for a call on Thursday. He didn't get back to me till whatever the weekend. We jumped on a call Monday afternoon. Tuesday, I think he said, hey, I've gotten some stuff fixed. And then this morning, I worked on the page. You don't like that I asked Alex questions that he didn't have the answer to, so I could understand what the hell is going on? Or like the fact that he said, hey, I don't know what we're doing. I don't know how people are getting here. And I went, well, what do you mean? What did you talk to Evan about? And he said, oh, I don't know. We talked 2 or 3 weeks ago about running a YouTube campaign off of, ABC, which had no strategy and made no sense. And I said, well, what about your organic people? Like, are people still coming to the studio? Like, I'm asking just questions so I understand what the hell is happening.
There's a difference between asking questions to seek to understand, mm-hmm. getting to your 85%, and then just pushing on that one thing. Like, what is the thing that we need to push on? And then just doing that thing. Like, this is our next step, as opposed to having the bigger, grander plan.
But what did Alex tell you that I told him? Because this is the love triangle that I think is happening. What did Alex?
It's not just Alex. This is typically the process. Like, you will see curves ahead that don't matter yet, and that prevents immediate action on the thing that matters most.
Okay.
US dollar and whatever, like, it doesn't matter. I'm pissed that it's even in your thought process. Like, it doesn't matter yet. It's great, but that's a low level next step.
Of course it matters, because all of these little things.
But that's not what you're genius at. Dude, of course.
Erode trust. And right now, Alex is moving from being the dude who uses, like, hey, we have a studio. Hey, it's in a mall. Hey, why don't you come out and see a class or whatever and see that it's real? He's moving to online where for all we know, we could be, we'll look like a bunch of scam artists out of Russia or something, right? Like the level of trust that's required, the level of communication, the level of belief and fun, the sale is so much harder. And so I understand that this is that your organization's livelihood is depending on cracking this nut.
Mm-hmm.
I did my work and I prioritized this today over, quite frankly, like next week because of that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to not think the way that I think. I mean, like at a certain point, yes, I bump up against limitations and all of this stuff. I don't know how to not think the way that I intuitively think. I don't know how to process information other than the way that I intuitively do that. Is what you're asking of me even reasonable?
Yes.
Really?
And all progress
I've spent the last 15 years thinking in a certain way that gets me certain results.
Okay, Liz, dude, what book are you reading right now?
Which one? Principles?
No, the other one.
Well, I've moved on from Everything is Figureoutable. Is that what you mean?
Into what's the next one?
What answer do you want? Mindset?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm working on Mindset by Carol Dweck. Yeah, it's very good.
And I know you. Oh, great. Well, I'm glad that it's very good. And then you're preaching the exact opposite. I've been doing this for 15 years, and so I can't change.
No.
That's unreasonable. That's fixed mindset 101. Like basically the exact definition. So reread the book. It's very good.
You're working on it. You're working on the book too, which is why you're pulling it out right now. Right?
No, I stopped it. I realized that like. It's basically just fixed mindset, growth mindset, fixed mindset, growth mindset. I read half a chapter and then I skimmed it and like, okay, I'm out. I mean, I love it. I agree with it. I agree with it. I've got it right there on my desk. That's why I reminded.
So did you even get to the part where she talks about how she was bringing the kids in and how they attacked the problem?
Yeah, I love challenges. I love challenges. And that kid is her mentor. I got it. But great. Yes. Seek challenges. So rewind the tape, 45 seconds or a minute and a half where you said, I've been doing this for 15 years and this is how I think. Is it even possible? Well, if you have a fixed mindset, then no. Or you reread that section again and realize growth mindset. Let's go.
Well, maybe I have a fixed mindset. Maybe
great. Well, fix it.
My biggest challenge this whole time.
You had it's the moments of greatness and then the moments of mediocrity. Like US dollars doesn't matter. There's a million things to pick out. Like there's a million. Let's do it. When you sit down with Alex, there's going to be a million things you can focus on, a million things, and then nothing gets done because it's overwhelming. As opposed to saying like, no, this is the next thing. Even if you want to paint a better future for somebody and help them believe in it, then what is our first next step to actually start getting tangible momentum towards it?
And that was already clearly defined.
But then that's all that matters. Like that's what we need to focus on. I'm gonna work on the copy. I need you to give me these pictures. Whatever. Great. Yes. Go. Even the thought process in your head. This is what I'm bothered by. Like even that you're thinking about little things that don't matter, as opposed to focusing on the only thing that does. Yeah. This is the culture of speed. This has been. I mean, it's been getting better, but it's still the culture of speed. It's still the culture of immediate momentum, immediate action, and that comes from prioritizing the right things. And once we know what that is, to stop asking questions that don't matter anymore. And sure, Alex needs extra help compared to a typical.
But of course, all of the questions matter, though.
No, but then nothing gets done, dude. This is the problem. This is the change in the thinking. Yes, like that prevents speed. That prevents momentum. And it's quite frankly below your pay grade. Like Mark thinking about US dollar, Canadian dollar is something that we can figure out super quick, even if it launches. It launches. Is it Canadian dollar or US dollar? Oh, shoot. I guess we should put that on the website, right? Great. But bad copy, bad brand sentiment can't just be fixed. Like there's nobody to do that.
But you can't write organizational positioning copy without asking the type of exploratory questions I asked.
Yeah, yes, some of them, but US dollar doesn't matter. Like
that wasn't part of the conversation. That was something I just noted because because in his FAQs he didn't even talk about time zones.
Great. Yes, awesome. Like don't worry about that.
I didn't worry about it. That's why I left the note there. I didn't correct it. I told him to correct it.
The thinking about this stuff, like it's the thought process, that thinking and spending 4 minutes on that stuff versus 4 minutes writing the copy.
I don't written the copy. Like, do you not like? Do you just want me to like? Hey, there's 3 things that I know are going to probably hurt you. I'm not going to mention them because it'll take me 4 minutes.
No. I don't want you even thinking about them. Like, there's a million things. How about Alex's work ethic, or Alex? Like, there's a lot of stuff that's going to hurt us. Tons, many things. You could spend 5 minutes and come up with a list of 18 things, 1,800 things that are going to hurt us at some point. I don't want you to make that list. I want you spending that 5 minutes on the thing that you're actually genius at, that can actually move the needle forward in a huge way. Because the other stuff is minor, tiny, and just slows down momentum.
Okay, I don't know how to do what you're asking for me yet.
I know you can do it. I know you can do it. You're just not asking the question. You just get locked into default mode instead of just thinking.
Well, default mode for me is like, okay, great. So I know that we're going to do a paid campaign. I know we're going to have organic people. I know you have current people who are in classes and people who are safe and people who aren't safe. I was like, great, Alex. I thought we were rebuilding the homepage.
Safe, unsafe is.
What?
I hope you took that out.
What? Safe?
Yeah, safe and unsafe. Safety of your home or whatever.
No. I played into safety because it's actually a huge concern for people. That's a really, really big concern for people right now.
Well, of course they're not going to go out to anyway, whatever. I'm sure it's good. It's good. But anyway, tie this back to where this whole thing started. What's the company that Mark wants to build?
Season 4, the build.
Season 4, you have to give up the operations. You're not in charge of Scrum or Agile, whatever else. If you're not running it, then you're not in charge of it.
And that's what we've done.
Great. Everybody's wearing multiple hats right now.
That's what we're doing.
So now think about transition up. So if you've got your three-headed monster of Mark at the top, Louis doing all the hiring and heart and culture plus whatever else, like the day-to-day, and then your operations person, what's her name? Natalia? Mm-hmm. So she's in charge of creating the operational structure. And if we're using Scrum or whatever else, you don't want to think about that stuff. You got a business to build. So now if you can actually get out of it, right? Like, that's a big shift to say, I'm not in charge of operations. Natalia, you're in charge of operations. And if she can't do it, then somebody else is in charge of operations. But you give me the system to run with for operations. I don't want to be a part of it. Get your hands out of it. Because you're just okay. You think you're great at it. You're actually just okay. But then if you're not going to be leading it, then it doesn't matter. You don't want to lead it. So don't be involved. As you scale up, last time we talked about you had some skills that you need to train, or you have domain expertise and some that you don't, right? Mm-hmm. It's like copy, some production versus like SEO or SEM or even SEO, like you don't really care about, like, but you don't, you're not going to like.
We don't do SEO anyway.
Okay. Well, fine. SEM or setting up campaigns. And I mean, you don't have as much of you don't have the domain expertise, and it doesn't hit you as hard as like bad copy. Bad copy going out destroys you. Bad tagging of a UTM code on an ad campaign is like, okay, whatever.
That's Alex. It destroys Alex. With all of our clients, I know Alex listens, so hey man, but every call with every client, he brings up how the UTM codes aren't, and the naming convention is messy, and so therefore it's harder for us to track things.
So how do we want to scale that up so that when you hire the copy person, you either have to let control go and it's not going to be done exactly your way, or you have to have, Louis be the buffer between Mark and the team, but that means he has to know everything, and he has to, his job is basically being your buffer, which might slowly suck his soul. I don't know. Maybe he'll love it.
He finds it pretty soul sucking.
Feels like a pretty crappy job. Or you have to hire somebody who can basically be a Mark Jr. in the roles that matter. What are the roles that matter? Like, what are the hats you're wearing that you need to give up that you're not going to do in your 30-person company? You're not writing copy anymore.
No, certainly not. So, our next hire is to rehire a designer. So we've always had really great in-house design.
You're doing design right now?
No, Louis is managing it with freelancers, but I still review most things and then do art direction. So when we bring in a graphic designer, I'll still have to do the review of things. But
so how do you want to
manage
that?
The more that I work with someone, the more that they pick up very quickly, and then it becomes less and less and less.
Okay, but that's if they're the ninja who you like working with.
Well, so this is the challenge we established last time, right? Which is
Well, this is what I'm asking.
When it comes to, we don't have a creative director in our agency, so short of us hiring, which is something we were, the reason we had 23 people last year is because we went a very different way, right? We said, okay, let's hire up for each division, for each department, for each team, like the leader who could then take all of the mentorship and the skill training and the QA and all of that work, right? Copy's not written well, the person in charge of that department will catch it. Design's not great, the person in charge of that department will catch it, and so on. And we just ran out of cash to scale this business, and so our leaders ended up becoming doers, and then they weren't super happy because they weren't leading, but they're also not necessarily best positioned to be the doers as well. And so that's why I said I think this is a challenge that all business owners face when they're aiming to scale. Is like, do you hire the person who's going to be the team leader when you don't quite have the team? Do you hire the team even though you're not the best team leader, and then can you keep those people around? How do you bring in a team leader later when you've hired a team who works really well for you?
Okay, so let's workshop this for your next hire, which is your graphic designer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great.
How do you want? Huh?
Yeah, that's the next hire.
Okay, great. Yes. So your next hire is a graphic designer.
Mm-hmm.
How do you want to work with this person? Like, what's actually feasible for Mark Drager to not hate his life and train with / work with somebody? Like, does this person have to be if you think about the people who you've liked working with the past, the people who stuck with you for 5 years, like, does it have to be that person for you to work with them and train them? Or it's either that, or you have to let go of some of the way they do it, or quality, or like air quotes quality. Like, which one do you want?
The people that I worked with best in the past are people who have expert domain and can just simply run with it, where I'm giving them very, very high level or strategic, or I'm just pointing out things that I think are incorrect.
Okay. And then the problem is people can't join the team after that.
Yeah. The problem is because everybody is so independent and used to just running things themselves. Communications is a problem. Process is a problem. Collaboration is a huge problem, because we're just basically, we were an army. When we were at 10 people was when we were probably our most effective. And it's because we were, for the most part, an army of independent people who could all do their thing, do it well, and very little collaboration.
Which is your preferred style? You'd rather not collaborate with people.
That's my preferred style. It's just like,
but it's not the company you want to build.
Like, no, it's not the company I want to build, because is me building, that's me having a job, right? Like that would be me staying with a 10-person company or an 80-person company of, 40 different little teams and clusters. But
so you want to build a collaborative company, but you don't want to collaborate.
I'm not good at it. And yet, let's say,
but you don't want to do it. You don't want to do it.
Like it. I don't.
Yeah. But it's fine. Like, hey, let's solve the problem we have.
Yeah. Yeah.
You want to build a collaboration-based organization, but you, at the head of it, don't want to collaborate.
You do not like collaborating.
Right.
I like to say, like, just leave it with me and I'll do it, or you do it. But to me, to have, the collaboration is like, I do my job and then I pass it on to you, like Henry Ford style, right? No one would think that an auto body line where the person's just responsible for putting on the bumper and pushes on, no one would think that that's collaboration, because they do their thing. And then someone else does the next thing, and someone else does the next thing. That's the way that I work. Like, either I do it or you do it, but us both doing it is useless. And I know that I'm going to bump up against the point where I'm not good at this or can't do it. So let me hand it off to you, and then you run with it. And then if you need to hand it off to someone else, they can run with it for sure. But
you don't want to build that company.
But if I'm going to be responsible for knowing exactly what's happening and the outcome of every single thing, I might as well just do the work myself.
Right. And that's the limit.
That's the challenge Franta has faced. We didn't realize it. But that was the challenge Fanta faced. And so for the last year, I'm left asking myself, do I want to build the company or should I consult? If we build is there anything wrong with being a really great 10-person company? No, of course not. But is that what I want? And ultimately, I believe that I want to build the bigger scaled company where like I said, it stands for something. It represents who I am. And it's putting out work that I'm really, really proud of. And I like being a part of the team. I just don't want to be responsible for it or work.
That's why the mentorship is great for vision for where they could go, but not operations focused to what they're doing in their role. And
so to answer your question, in our current structure, we bring in someone who's a graphic designer. There is no one in the organization, to my mind, who can help them become a better designer. So yes, either we hire someone who's great already, and maybe they're collaborative, but now they're really expensive. We hire someone who's more mid-level, and we just live with whatever they give us. We have tried that. I mean, a big reason why, designers we've worked with in the past, they love collaborating with people, but at a certain point, if they go like, if I'm responsible for our design and I look around and no one here is better than me, how am I growing? How am I getting better? And so they do want that person above them to give them. I used to challenge Manish all the time because he wanted that. He asked for that. He wasn't getting that from anyone else in the organization. So we bring someone in and, I settle with their work and I don't challenge them, and ultimately give them 3 to 6 months and they're going to bounce. I already know that. Or I bring someone in and I do challenge them. And short of us hiring a creative director, so now we have like me, and then we have the person in charge of heart, and we have the person in charge of operations, and we have the creative director. Now we're just going back to where we were a year ago, where our plan was to hire all of these heads to be that mentor, to be that leader for the people. And it's a very expensive way to build a company. A year ago, I had revenue to do that and try it. Right now, we do not. So I don't know. I don't know what the answer is.
It may just be freelancers, to be honest.
Well, that's what we're doing right now, and Louis handling it, and then, we're getting by, certainly.
Or like.
But it's the same. What graphic design doesn't matter. It's the same challenge. It's the same challenge with copy. It's the same challenge.
No, I know. It's the same, but like, or it's it's something that it's a the 3 to 6 months isn't because they're not growing and they want to move on. It's because the organization has outgrown them.
You mean they've outgrown the organization?
No, the organization has outgrown them. What you're talking about is the opposite. This is, if you hire people who are mark people, as you grow, the organization is going to outgrow them. Because you want to build a collaborative organization.
Yes.
But as of right now, there's nobody to collaborate with, and there's nobody to kind of guide them. It works perfect for now, where Mark's going to come in, tell you what's what, and you're gonna appreciate the radical candor, and see Mark as a mentor. And Mark will actually like helping guide and train you and build you up. But you're not a team player, and that means when the organization is ready to have team players, you're out.
This go back 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018. This is the challenge that we've been facing.
So
in our mastermind group, we used to have people in our group who would say like, Mark, like, dude, man, your business, like from the outside, your business is so great and all of this stuff. And it's like, yeah, like I could go away for a month and the business doesn't crumble because I have a lot of independent people, but try to bring in someone who's collaborative and they feel bullied, they feel pushed out. Not just for me, just like the team that I built around me.
Yeah.
So we spent the last bunch of years.
You had a bunch of marks.
Yeah. I work well with people like me. I don't necessarily enjoy working with them.
Okay, fast forward this. Like if you built your ninja team of all these independent people who are scruffy and don't like talking to people and don't want to collaborate and don't want to explain themselves and don't want to work to your timeline because I'm going to get it done. I'm going to kick ass doing it, right? Like you built your team.
But it's not fun.
But hold on. If you build let's say you build your mini team, whoever Mark is in charge of would be a graphic designer, a copywriter, it's like 3 to 5 people.
Yeah. So
whatever. Those are the
only positions. Those are the only positions where they kind of have to report into me because of my knowledge base.
Those are the only 2? Graphic design?
Because there's, whether you want to look at Scrum or not, there's a Scrum master. Louis needs to be better at that. I would suck at that. There's a product owner. Natalia would probably own that. And I would do some, but it's more like account managing. And Alex would mentor the campaign manager we would hire underneath him, which is what he was brought in more to do and has more of a knowledge base on. So like really copy positioning strategy, that is the thing that we've never been able to crack. And
but strategy is still always going to be you.
I've brought in 4 or 5 people over the last 4 years to try and give this up. And the longest time it's worked is 9 months.
Is that the person who wrote our website, the TDS website?
No, she was a really gifted writer. She was with us from August to February.
Okay.
So, no.
Got it.
I've tried a lot of different people with a lot of different personalities with different experiences.
Okay, so play this out. You have a copy person,
mm-hmm.
and you've got a designer. Those are the 2 key roles.
Yes.
Okay, so what happens in?
Those are the 2 key roles that would need a report.
Okay, so let's say you hire those people.
Mm-hmm.
Not right now, but as you grow, next year, you've got both those people working at Fanta, but they're the scruffy, independent, like, I'm going to kick ass. Don't talk to me. If you're not a high achiever, get out of my face. Not necessarily that bad, but, don't want to collaborate. Okay. You got these 2. And then you're building up the team for everything else that you suck at, that you don't care about, that you don't have to give mentorship and guidance, whatever that is, if it's business coaches and SEMs and whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if we're at that place where we've got 15 people at the company,
mm-hmm.
there's Mark and the 2 ninja people, and then the other, 12.
Yeah. So either we have enough revenue where I can grab that writer and I could grab that designer and pull them out of the team and they can work on something else with me. Or they'll have to turn over because.
Right. But how big a deal is it for them to turn over? Like if they can't assimilate into, like, this is the question. And I don't, huh?
Yeah, I mean, you're bringing someone on to help you build something. You're using them for a certain amount of time and then they're outgrowing the position. At the same time, the
company's outgrowing them.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean.
But there's no friction. No. There's no friction because they're working on their own with you. You build them. I'm not advocating for this yet. I'm just playing with it. You build a model where they don't have to collaborate. You build a different kind of organization as a bridge, right? I love bridges.
Okay. Yeah.
This is just something to sit on because I know we're at time too, but just something to sit on. Maybe it's totally off, but you build it. Mark and his 2 people that you're basically saying until we have a creative director, I have to be the mentor. Because once we have a creative director who is collaboration focused, then everything works. But we can't afford if we have a COO and a CHO and a CEO and it says like, we got no workers. Great. So we got to build towards that. Awesome. We understand this. But if you're saying,
you just answered it. We need
creative director.
We need a bridge for the creative director.
Right.
So just like Natalia is helping us with all of the process and all of the structure, and Louis is helping us with all the people, and Alex is helping us with all the data and the reporting. Oh yeah, and all of the technical side of things. It's back to the model that we were at. We just need to. The bridge isn't to building up a team and getting to 15 people. The bridge is whatever between is right now and us having a creative director.
Right. And so
there's operations, there's strategy, there's creative, here's people, like that's what's needed.
But your team can't work with the rest of the team. Like you got to build a company where your two people basically work from home and never talk to anybody else except you and Louis, whatever. But like, don't bristle and ruin the culture. It's two different cultures. But that's you.
Nobody else has this problem, right? So like, am I just not facing the fact that what I want to build, I'm not built to build, and I should build what I am built to build? Or
well,
what?
Like, people say about Steve Jobs all the time. With like, if you're working with him on a project, you go fast, and he accepts no prisoners, and like, let's go. And the rest of Apple was just a giant monolith of bureaucracy that nothing ever got done.
Okay.
But this isn't even a long-term solution. This is just a bridge to get you to the place where you can be happy. And then you don't have to be collaborative. You just got to make sure that your key reports can handle your style. Like, you got to be able to talk to the creative director. You need her to be collaborative, but be able to handle you.
We're going to talk about this next week on the podcast, but maybe I'm thinking about this wrong. Maybe rather than me ask how to build, because we're special ops versus collaborative.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the better question to ask is, how can I make special ops have a better culture?
But the culture is fine. The special ops culture is great. The people in special ops love the culture. They love working with Mark. They love the push. They love the directness.
It just wasn't that before, right? Like, even when we were special ops, even when we were delivering, even when we were performing, going to work wasn't fun, right? Like, so
whatever, you're in charge of that culture.
I know, but the reason why I've been resistant to the special ops thing is because I have this very strong taste in my mouth and this memory of how not fun it was. And maybe the question I need to be asking myself is, maybe we should be special ops. Maybe we can even scale special ops. Maybe that's the right thing to do. I just sucked at building the culture. Maybe it's
I don't think so. I don't think it's what you want to do. Like, I don't think you care enough about the copy. Like, it's your thing that you're best at, but it's actually small compared to what you could do. It's just what's most important. It's your biggest skill set right now for the clients you have right now and what you can do. But in 5 years, you want to be doing landing page copy and stuff. Like, it's
no. Yeah, no. I know that. I'm just saying, if the graphic designer was a special ops graphic designer and the copywriter was a special ops copywriter, and Alex was comfortable operating in this way, because to be honest with you, I just throw things at him and he deals with it anyway. And if Natalia was comfortable with this, and we already know Roland is comfortable with this, and then really maybe the better question to ask is how to have people who are capable to be handed something, run with it to the best of their ability, problem solve, attention to detail, all of that stuff that's important to me. And the challenge to Louis is, in fact, make sure that we're communicating, getting things done, and it's still a fun place to work, which is very different than, hey, build a company that isn't even built for me.
We got some thinking to do.
Next week.
If you want to watch last week's episode, click it right there. It's a good one.
It's a great one.
Bye.